Welcome to the Business Blast podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Wagner. This episode is brought to you by Authors Unite. Authors Unite provides you with all the resources you need to become a successful author. You can learn more about Authors Unite and join the free community at authorsunite.com. Now, let's jump into the episode. All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Business Blast podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Wagner. Today, I have Frances Reimers with us. She's the founder and CEO of Firestarter, which is a brand consulting firm. So welcome to the show, Frances.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thanks for coming on. We'll dive in. The first question I have for you, Frances, is what's the best story from your life that has an underlying valuable message?
I don't think it's so much of a story as it is just the overall theme of my life, which is where you begin in life doesn't always dictate where you're going to end up. And so just keep striving and heading towards your goal, and ultimately you'll be successful.
And what's the most valuable piece of information we should know that's within your expertise or industry?
Your brand is yours and yours alone. It is the most important professional asset that you have, and its success or failure rides completely with your willingness to tend to it, to grow it, to manage it, and protect it.
And what's your best piece of overall business advice, so not necessarily industry specific?
I think the best piece of advice I can give anyone is that business can sometimes be very ugly, very cruel. Sometimes people won't always treat you as well as they should or could. They're not going to act with as much integrity as they should. Regardless of how somebody treats you, you should always continue to conduct yourself with class and grace. You can't control how other people treat you, but you can certainly control how you react to it. And I think that's going to get you farther along in the business world than any other piece of advice.
And if you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that be?
I would tell my younger self to relax. I'm a very intense, driven person. I've been that way I think since I came out of the womb. And so I would tell myself to relax, that everything is going to turn out fine, that you will see to the other side of the rainbow. So just relax and really enjoy the journey.
And in your opinion, what is the key to happiness?
The number one key to happiness is loving yourself and truly accepting yourself for who you are and what you have to offer this world. Once you are at peace with yourself, I think that happiness and that confidence radiates outward, and it really does start to bring a lot of blessings and opportunities to you, but it starts with loving yourself first.
And what's the best book that you've read, and what was the number one thing you learned from that?
My favorite book of all time is Daisy Faye and the Miracle Man by Fannie Flagg. This is the same woman who wrote Fried Green Tomatoes. I love this book because it's a very real, authentic look in a girl's life, which kind of mirrored my own, meaning where you start out in this world is not necessarily where you end up, but if you just keep trying and striving and growing as an individual, you may reach a higher platform. So I love that book.
And what is your favorite quote and why?
You know, I'm such a quote person, and I say so many quotes all the time. To thine own self be true. It's so, it's so cliche and almost a little trite, but in this business world and a world of where we're living our lives more and more online, to thine own self be true is so important, because brands, whether you're an individual or a company, people want to gauge with what's authentic. And so you need to display your authentic self.
Yes, I agree so much. Thank you so much for coming on. The last question I have for you before we let you go is, where is the best place for people to find you online?
Oh, I am everywhere. You can find me on Instagram, which is my favorite platform, at Firestarter CEO, on Twitter at Your Firestarter, on Facebook at Firestarter Communications, on LinkedIn under Frances Reimers, and of course on my website at www.yourfirestarter.com.
Perfect. Thank you again for coming on. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
The
podcast you just heard was recorded with Anchor. If you want to make your own, download the Android or iOS app completely free from anchor.fm/podcast. That's anchor.fm/podcast.